hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you are lucky enough to be doing it too. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I am so happy to be here with you today, about to head off to the rehearsals for Wargaming's upcoming Twister Cup finals, which we're going to be doing in the Altman building. So if any of you are hanging about in New York at the present, and you're keen to come, well, you probably won't see this because it's going to be afterwards. Don't worry about it. Let's talk about something else. Let's, in fact, talk about tanks. Now, by the way, this is a Patreon-sponsored post. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically a huge community of human beings who get together and do a lot of cool stuff. We're currently running a Patreon tournament. There's private videos. There's voice chat. There's a chat channel. There's a whole heap of gear that goes on around it at events. So if you consider sponsoring the channel, please do. There'll be a link at the end of the video, and there's a card somewhere along in here. What I want to talk to you about today really is isolating tanks and isolating the objections. And by isolating the objections, which they use as a debating term, I actually want to talk about how you can easily win games. And this specifically works best when you are in a platoon. And it's one of the reasons why good platoons become much better win rate farmers than people that like to solo. Because there's a much lower threshold. Once you get a couple of basic tactics into your head, you can just farm the win rate up. And the most basic of all those tactics is this: 2 guns good, 1 gun bad. You don't want to get stuck into situations where you're just going one-on-one and you're hit point trading. What you really want to do is have 2 tanks who can focus fire on one particular tank at a time. And the best way to do that is to roll a couple of tanks together, and it's one of the reasons why mediums are so fit. Now you can see Mojo has spotted up that Jagdpanzer IV over there. I'm using cover so I can't be hit from either side here. Mojo is pushing around on there. The Jagdpanzer IV can only see Mojo, he can't see me, and I managed to nut him. And I probably did about 800 damage in the Jagdpanzer IV, and Mojo would have done all the spotting damage. And it's one of the reasons why at the end of this, Mojo has a much higher experience score than I do, because he was actually spotting these targets up. And we take care of the M10, another target spotted for us by teammates. What we're doing here is we're isolating the tanks on this flank and working 2 guns at least on them at once without exposing ourselves to shots from elsewhere. And you can see here, no one in front of me can get me. That IS-2 can, but no one else can get a hold of me. Not the IS-2, sorry, the IS. He's not looking at me, however. He's got enough troubles of his own over there. So I'm basically going to have to move around here, get shots in him, and take one back. And then I'm going to move around behind him again. Now you'll see that there's going to be a Cromwell, I believe, pop up on my left-hand side here. Now, remember I was talking about isolating tanks. That means you don't want to be in a position where 2 tanks can put shots into you at once. So what I'm doing here is just sizing these guys up. I'm looking around, going to get some shots into the IS, and then check out where the Cromwell is and where the IS is. Cromwell's okay. He can't come into me, so I can go for the IS free and clear. Now, we really wrecked the Jagdpanzer IV. We put the hurt on that Panther M10, and we absolutely smashed the poor old IS at the end. But the real key to it was the fact that we moved along that flank. Mojo, you can see there, gets all the XP despite me doing over 3,000 damage, and we got the job done. What about if you're on your own? Well, if you're on your own, you've got to look for situations and opportunities. Places where you can realise the dream of finding a tank that you can hit that can't hit you. Now, I've looked at this and I can see that there are 2 enemy medium tanks. One of them has already been spotted up the top, the Object 140, so I know he's on the top. The STB-1 is yet to pop, so I'm just edging along here, because to my mind, I've looked at their team, they've got 3 TDs. I am thinking that the only way they can be over here in any force at all is if the STB-1 and the Object 263 have popped up together. But I'm counting tanks, and there's 5 over there and only 1 spotted on the right. So even though I cannot see 1 tank at the moment, I know that this STB-1 is more than likely on his own. So I'm doing a very odd thing. I'm going in the middle in a Tier X game, and what I'm going to do is drive at the red tanks, isolating the STB out here on the right. There he is, he's spotted. We can put shots in him, and we can't get hit from the top unless they push up on us, which is exactly what this Object 140 is going to do. which is a terrible move by him because the STB1 can't support him, and I am going to get a whole heap of shots from not just me, but other people around me. There you go, he gets double tapped by someone else on my left, and I nut him, and he's done. And we are still not visible to any of the big TDs down there. The STB1 cannot move forward, and I can't get hit unless I poke my head all the way up and let them hit me. And I'm about to kill the STB1, but I muck the shot right up and someone else nuts him. And I'm now looking directly into their spawn, into the sides of non-turreted TDs, and it's pretty much all over bar the shouting here. We've just got to clean them up. Now the Jagdpanzer has a much higher rate of fire than a normal TD. It's not as high, however, as a good old Object 140. It's very, very close, but not quite there. And there is the 183 we were looking for, right at the back. And you notice how I've got a house between me and him. Don't have to worry about him. I can afford to come out, take one from the Yag, move back. I've got him on a reload, and I'll get him again. And we've just got to worry about that 183 now. And we've got a house between us and him, and we've isolated him off on his own. He doesn't have any support. He's fired. We're going to push around, and again, we're going to isolate off him. And when he comes out of that isolation and wants to shoot me, guess what we're going to do? We're going to hit him in the tracks, which will completely wreck him, the poor bugger. As we run down, he's still looking to have a crack at me. There you go, track him, right behind him, and he's done and dusted. It's really simple stuff. Anytime you're like that STB where you're going to get hit from both flanks, you're in trouble. Anytime you can be seen by multiple guns at once, every time you go to take a shot, that's called hit point trading. And you don't want to be doing it. What you really want to be doing at all times is putting shots in and not receiving shots back. Well, that sounds pretty freaking obvious. But it's something people miss all the time. And the biggest enemy of this kind of playstyle is the player that doesn't really know what he's doing. Because a guy that knows what he's doing might decide to exchange his hit points for yours if it puts his team in a much better position. But at the start of the game, that's an unlikely thing to happen. What you're going to find generally at the start of the game is the guys that push on you and just trade all their hit points to get a couple of shots at you, which is pretty grim. And so you've got to watch out for that. And it's particularly bad at Tier 8 and Tier 7 where you get YOLO Drax and impossibly strong IS-3 defenders. Now you can see here, we've pushed right down to the edge, and I'm being very cautious moving up here because we only have 3 reds spotted, and if there is someone on the left, I'm well within 250 meters of view range of anyone in that second spawn. So what I'm doing is trying to just edge up very gently because we're only a minute into the game. We've got a shot off already, and that's just grand. If we can get a shot off every minute, then we'll be a really, really competitive player in the game. I'm using, again, the hill, and I'm going to use the camouflage there to keep that Chiri. I know he's got 3 shots in a clip. I'm waiting for him to fire some off. There we go. Straight into the Chiri. We're spotted. We're going to move down. We're isolating the Chiri. The Fury wants to hit me. He is looking at me, but he cannot see me. And as the Fury comes around the corner, we push back. He still can't hit me. And then we get side shots onto him, and he is done and dusted. He's got 1 shot into us, despite the fact that he was looking to hit us from the start. And this is what I'm talking about. We waited until the Chiri was an easy target. We hit him. As we came down, we saw the Fury. We hit him. There's an ISU 152 over there. He is facing the other direction because he is spotted, and our TD, the Helsing, is pushing up on him. That means I can isolate him away from the Reds behind me because they can't see me behind the houses that are there and the actual hillside. And I will just simply walk up behind this dude and get the kill shot without having anyone else get a shot on me. So far, I've hit a Tiger 1, a Chiri, a Fury, and an ISU 152, and I've been fired upon once. And this is not rocket science. This is just really simple stuff. And I'm doing the same thing here. There's a hill between us, and there's a guy on my right who can't see me. I wait for the Helsing to fire. I blow the shot, but I am also in a great spot here to get the last kill shot into him. The 3485 can't push around on me. He doesn't have the opportunity because if he turns around or moves at all, there's multiple people looking at him. That means it's just me on the Tiger 1. I'm going to come down here, try and get shots into him, but I want to kill this guy over there, the 3485 as well. It's not going to happen. I'll just nut the Tiger 1. Someone else finishes him for me, and I actually do get the 3485 in the end. At the end, I use my hit points because I'd save those hit points up all the time, and they're like a resource for you. If you can have a lot of hit points at the end of a game and still be on a fairly even footing with regard to guns, then you can jump out and do the business. Not a huge game, 5 kills, but mostly that was just luck more than anything else. It was all about keeping the tanks away from me, not letting them fire at me, having my hit points left at the end so that I could do something decent with them. And that's called isolating. You want to isolate tanks as often as possible, get them in a position where you can hit them, and they're the only ones that can even get a chance at hitting you, and you'll do a lot better in this game. And it's something that young players, or rather new players, don't understand. They just see targets and they go for the targets. The peripheral vision, the ability to see the map and assess risk in taking a shot is a massive part of improving both your win rate and your enjoyment of the game, because you'll live a lot longer, you'll put a lot more fire in, and you'll learn that there's certain risks that just aren't worth taking, and that'll come. That's great. It's fantastic. It's something I'm still certainly learning, and it's something that the really good players that I'm going to be seeing in the next couple of days are absolutely fantastic at. So I'm Bushka on Blitz. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider sponsoring the channel, and if not, make sure you watch a couple of the other videos, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and listen to the podcast. Doing a lot of podcasting at the moment. Until next time, look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.